It's rare that I see it all as blue in the water.
I think I might, I use like a blue detergent.
Yeah.
Dishwasher. But yeah, it's definitely blue, isn't it?
Okay. Watch it all drain away. Yeah, so something fatty's being poured down the drain there. Yeah, it's fat. Whatever it is, it's fatty. You can just tell by the the colour of the shit.
Really?
Yeah, somebody's got a very fatty diet. Or greasy diet. And yeah, all of this stuff along the walls, that's all fat as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's another example. That cover was completely clear and clean last time I was here. You see, just above the interceptor trap.
Yeah.
Whereas now, that's no longer the case. It's just covered in fat. I mean, how often do you pour dough down?
I'm not pouring it down. It's just like
Sorry,
washing your hands.
yeah.
And, you know, like stuff.
Pouring is the wrong word.
Yeah,
to use,
it's not intentional disposal of it.
Yeah.
Just,
and I mean, when was the last time that I came over? It was like a month ago, wasn't it? Just over a month.
Yeah.
So all in all, I don't think it's your problem, even though it's affecting you because you're on the ground floor. I think it's somebody else's problem upstairs where they should be paying for it, or at least collectively everybody should be chipping in. I would have words with the landlord about that.
I'll speak to myself and just minimise whatever we're doing. So what is sanitary towels as well?
Not entirely sure. I think it's wet wipes.
Wet wipes. Okay.
Wet wipes. That's what's clogging it. What's happening is, you can see actually on the top, you can see there's a layer of scum.
Yeah.
So that's all the fat that I'm talking about. That is what's blocking everything up. So what happens is, the fat will stay on top, whilst the rest of the water will come past and eventually will solidify. And poo and pee and everything like that sinks to the bottom. Fat sinks to, floats to the top. So when it creates that crust, it will allow the water to pass through, but it won't allow the solids to pass through. And eventually there will be so much weight on top of it that it will just sink to the bottom as a huge plug. Yeah, that's what's blocking up your drains. But your drains are so massive that there is a lot of fat going down. Maybe the dough won't help, but with small quantities that you would have on your hands when you're washing your hands, it shouldn't be that big of an issue. It's just the huge quantities of fat. Because all of this here, that's all a layer of fat. And what it will do is, it will solidify, and even if it unblocks at one point, if there's fat up here, it'll fall off in a chunk and block it up again. So that's why it's important to also give it a good clean. Okay. So what I'll do for you, now that I've unblocked it, I'll give it a good spray down, give it as good a clean as I can. Yeah. I'll go up each individual one so we can clean everything out. Yeah. So hopefully it won't block up again. But I would also say that this manhole needs redoing. Because, for example, you can see here, this is all rough. Yeah. Running out of water. So, the manhole just needs relining, because what's happening is, when you've got cement or concrete, it's got little stones in it. Yeah. And the limescale, the compound that creates the cement, eventually that will wash away. Yeah. And I'm assuming that this manhole hasn't been touched in many, many years, because the little stones will remain embedded, whilst the top surface of concrete or cement will wash away, leaving little stones spiking out, almost like Velcro. You can see here, there was so much water, but yet you've still got all this shit that's just blocked up. So it's a mixture of things, I would say.
When you send over the invoice, could you maybe write a description of what he's doing, just so I can pass it forward to them?
Yeah, certainly. So it would probably need unblocking, definitely need cleaning again. Then you would reline everything, so get everybody to stop using toilets, sinks, everything. If you need water, put a plug in it. And then quick drying cement would reline it and allow it to flow smoothly. Yeah. Because otherwise what will happen is it will act like Velcro and it will keep gripping. Yeah. Like you can see here. And then the fat doesn't help as well. So you've got the perfect storm there. Yeah. To have a drain that keeps blocking up.
Alright, nice one.
Yeah, it's a joy of joys. Oh, yeah. So I just pulled this out and there was what looked like a sanitary product. So I think it's a mixture of things. Yeah. But yeah, you shouldn't be held accountable for the whole building.
Yeah. And it's definitely this end. It's not something like
no. I mean, so 90% of blockages happen here, right there. But I can tell that it's basically not along there because it's just drained away beautifully. So that's not the problem. The problem is actually from previous memory there was also a bit of wet wipe there as well that got caught. Yeah, there we go. So it does need relining. Yeah. Okay. 100%. Yeah. And another reason why it also needs relining is because if you get any cracks, the water will push through and wash away everything underneath the manhole, and then eventually you get what's called cavitation. Yeah. Where underneath the manhole, it's just empty space. Yeah. Either water, or if that water drains away, then you've got all of the weight of the cement itself, which isn't reinforced. Yeah. And it'll just drop down, and the whole thing can collapse. So better to nip it in the bud.
Cool. Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, just
I'll write it with him. Don't worry. But yeah, it's also for your information, because when you talk to him, one, it'll be good for you to know what it is, as well as everything written down on paper, so you can actually have a conversation with him. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, man. Do you mind if I crack on?
Pardon?
I'm alright to crack on?
Yeah, you keep going.